As life comes to you, it produces within you desires that are beyond what you currently are experiencing. And so there is always this place that you would call forward or future from your current manifestations. We would call it present, because in the moment that you launch the desire, it becomes a reality unto itself that has attraction properties. And your inner being stands in that, what you want to call forward place, where your inner being wants to call present place. And so really, the secret to living happily ever after, or living happily in this moment, the key to having this moment be a happy moment, the key to that is knowing how to manage that gap between what you've just launched and what you still believe. Because your life causes you to desire more than what is. It happens all day, every day. But your now reality, which you mostly examine through your physical senses, causes you to hold tight to what is while you are reaching for more. Now that's uncomfortable. You call that yearning. Sometimes you call it desire. But a desire that is pure doesn't feel uncomfortable. Meaning a desire that you're not resisting, a desire that is not contradicted by habit of thought, which is what a belief is. A purely non-resisted, non-contradicted desire is bliss, and it is powerful. Oh, the power of a non-resisted desire, the power of a pure thought. That's what Source offers. That's why Source creates worlds. That's why Earth spins in its orbit in perfect proximity to other planets. Those thoughts thought by non-physical beings are non-resisted. They are not doubted. If it were up to humans to keep your Earth spinning in its orbit, you'd have forums on how it's not likely to last, how lucky you've been that it's gone this good this far, and who's responsible for the certain doom. But the non-physical part of you, that non-physical energy that we call non-physical, sometimes you call it God, we call it Source. This non-physical energy is not doubtful. It's not hateful. It's not vulnerable. It just knows. And in that absoluteness of that knowing, which just means in that non-contradictedness of that knowing, there is power that you haven't tasted yet to your full capacity. It's like the difference between non-resisted thought as compared to resisted thought, meaning a pure desire as compared to a desire that you want but you don't believe. Pure thought is equivalent to an atomic bomb, and normal human thought is equivalent to a firecracker. You just can't quite feel the power of the non-resisted thought, and yet every now and again you find a little piece of it, and you feel the energy of it, the euphoria of it, the bliss of it, the power of it. But for most humans, it doesn't last very long, because you've trained yourself and been trained by others to be so very objective, so very balanced. Let's weigh the pros and the cons and the pluses and the minuses. Let's think about what we want, but let's look at the downside of it too. And we say, don't do that. Don't contradict your thought for the sake of pleasing others who don't know better. Find something that you want and focus on it unequivocally. And as you look around at others like you who are creating their own reality, and you see someone who is particularly, apparently, masterful at it, in that they've accomplished a lot, they are masters in their art, or masters in their science, or blissful in their world. And as you get up close enough that you get to hear them or know them, you will notice these things about them. They speak of what they want, but they don't talk against it. They don't talk against their own desires. Jerry wrote a paper, Esther's Jerry, dearly departed, dearly not departed, but partly departed. part of him departed, most of him still here. It's hard to explain. He croaked. He wrote a paper some years ago entitled, "Keep Your Ideas to Yourself Until They Are Fully Developed." Because he watched so many people who he was counseling in financial matters who would have a desire and they would speak it to those around them who didn't believe in them, who didn't believe in success at all, perhaps. But people are so quick to warn each other about pitfalls, and that's contradicted thought. People are so quick to look for the downside of things. That's contradicted thought. But the difference that we want you to know and feel by the time you walk out of this room today is that the only difference worth really noting between you and your inner being, who is non-physically focused, is that your inner being never speaks against you or against your ideas of desire. And when you do, you cause a kind of separation. There's no possibility of separation, but you pinch yourself off from the fullness of who you are. And that pinched off state of being feels to you like negative emotion. Your emotions are your indicator of how in alignment you are, how fully and wholly you are, or how you are contradicting your own desire. Have you ever had an experience with another human? Usually they're related to you in some way, or married to you, or working with you, or living next door, or complete strangers. And you are having a conversation with them about something that you believe deeply in. And they believe deeply in it too, they just don't agree with you. And so you explain your perspective, which just makes them come on stronger with theirs. And then they explain their perspective, which just makes you come on stronger with yours. And so you've got this sort of tug of war going, and rarely is there any consensus that is formed under those conditions, because you just dig in a protective state to defend your position. Have you ever had that experience? Children? What we want you to realize is that those two perspectives are present within you, singularly, individually, you, every day, when you have a desire that you don't believe. I want more money, but I've never had enough money. I don't know anybody that really has enough money. My parents didn't have enough money. And while that is factually accurate, it doesn't need to remain that way. But the reason it does remain that way is because when you keep that vibration active as a belief, then your desire can't get far out ahead of it. And this is the thing, this is the premise that we want you to begin with today. We want you to listen to what we say next and try to get your thoughts around this, because as you accept this progression of your evolution, as you hear this simple premise that we're going to put forward right here, everything else will be easy for you from now on as you are creating your own reality. So here's the premise. You came from non-physical, but not all of you came. And in this physical body, you have a role to play in the co-creation between you and your non-physical counterpart. You said, I'll be on the leading, not bleeding, leading edge. I'll explore contrast, and I will come to my own personal conclusions of what I would prefer beyond what is.